Hi, I'm Kelly Vaughn, and this is Inside Indy. I know it seems unbelievable, but there is hope and help for a substance abuse addict. And here in the studio to show us how true this is are a number of guests. We have, first of all, Dr. William Bailey Jones III. You are a psychiatric CEO, president of the Indiana Neuropsychiatric Institute in Fishers, Indiana, right?
That's correct.
Okay, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And then we have Joseph, is it Pappas? Okay, and you are CEO of Integrative Health Centers, Inc. Okay, in Fishers as well. And then we have Greg, who is a survivor and conqueror, is how they list you here. And you had a 14-year prescription drug and heroin addiction, right?
That's correct.
Welcome to the show. And we want to begin with you, Greg. Tell us your story and how that all started in terms of the addiction.
Yeah, like I said, it started when I was in 7th grade. I had a great upbringing. A lot of the stigma is that something might have happened in the childhood, and that's not always the case. I had a great childhood, close-knit family. I'm the second of 6, so I couldn't have asked for more as a child. Growing up, I faced my own personal issues of anxiety and depression. I was not comfortable in my shoes, and when 8th grade came around, I was prescribed Vicodin for my wisdom teeth, and when I took that first Vicodin, something happened. It's hard to explain exactly, but I felt like I made it home, and my anxiety and my depression, it all just faded away. It made me into the person I thought I wanted to be. So through high school, being a freshman, playing with varsity players, I was introduced to that lifestyle of drinking on the weekends, etc. And the opiate abuse accelerated. Between 30 and 40 pills a day of Vicodin wasn't doing it. So
How many a day?
30 to 40.
How do you survive 30 or 40? That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, and that progressed to Oxycontin and fentanyl. And eventually I was spending way too much. And then that's when I was introduced to heroin when I was 19.
Wow. When you were introduced to heroin, was it, I need this to go higher, or was it for what makes you go to something that's different? I understand the initial one because you were introduced to it, but that wasn't necessarily, a necessity, so to speak, as the first one was.
Yeah, when I heard about it, I was scared, frankly. I've heard about it on TV. I never thought I'd be that person. But in actuality, I was blocking off my own thoughts and my own stuff about my own issues going on. And from that standpoint, it was cheaper, it was more readily available, and the high was stronger. And it took those feelings and anxieties that was coming back from the tolerance buildup, and it completely depleted it. And once that needle hit my arm, that was that. It was off to the races. For the next 10 years of my life was really dark.
Wow. When you say dark, what's the darkest moment?
Darkest moment would have to be when I kept taking from my family. It broke my heart anyways to do that. And I can speak for a lot of people, we don't want to do it, but an easy thing I can actually say to what it feels like to be addicted to something, when it has like full grip on you and you give up your hope and that word becomes a foreign word to you, it's basically like someone has a gun to your head. And when they have that gun to your head, you're going to listen to what they say. You're not going to go, no, it's not, this is not a big issue going on. It's a huge issue. I was in and out of rehabs, jails, but the one part that sticks out the most to me was that night I took from them and they were hurt. And I was tired of hurting them, so I decided to take my own life. I got a place, a hotel room close to my house, and I said, that's that. And in that process, I was scared. I knew I had taken too much. It's what I wanted to do because I was tired of hurting them. But I cried out to God, like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to hurt them anymore. Please help me. And I know it's God each and every day, and I still go back and talk to the lady, the cleaning lady. She went to the wrong room by accident and found me. I know that's not an accident. And I thank God each and every day that He kept me alive and that He has a purpose for my life, and I'm ready to pursue that purpose and actually walk in those steps.
So what's going on with you now with these gentlemen here that's different than what you said? You've been through rehab many times. So what's going on and where are you?
Well, now it's hard to put a word on it. I feel amazing. The one thing each and every time after rehab, my anxiety or my depression would kick up. And even though I knew it was a bad area to go, I kept falling back into that because it would take that away. So when I heard about this NAD IV therapy, some of those topics were brought up about how it reduces your cravings, your anxiety, your depression. And I was skeptical. I did my own research about it, and I was like, well, this sounds really promising. I'm going to give it a try. And 10 days later, I feel like a brand new person.
10 days?
Yeah, 10 days.
Okay, so we're going to stop you for a minute,
Yeah.
and then we're going to talk to Dr. Jones, and then we'll also talk to Joseph. Dr. Jones, what is NAD, and how does this happen in 10 days when for many, many years he's been in and out of rehab? What is it?
NAD is a naturally occurring compound. It actually occurs in the body. We all have it, and we all need it. It is absolutely essential to the biochemical processes of life. For example, the process by which the air we breathe is converted into energy for life is catalyzed by NAD. So again, this is a naturally occurring compound. We all have it. We all need it. What we have done is we have given this infusion of NAD and have achieved in 10 days what it would take the body to achieve in 7 years.
Whoa, okay. Unbelievable. Want to ask Joseph Pappas, again, CEO of Integrative Health Centers. Tell us about the center itself, and is this a part of the therapy that's offered there?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, we developed a protocol that's propriety. It's a protocol for addiction. Where the protocol goes a long way with just brain recovery, but specifically regarding addiction, we've been doing it now for a little while, and we've had some remarkable results.
Okay. So, and I know somebody knows somebody out there who's gone through what Greg has gone through, or they're going through it now.
Sure.
And I want to put that out there numerous times while we're doing the interview. Where can they get this kind of help? Who do they call? What do they do?
They can call our center. The number of our center. We're on the internet. They can just look us up if they'd like.
So Integrative Health Centers?
Integrative Health Centers.
Okay.
www.inwellnessindy.com
Okay.
is our website, and they can set up an appointment, come in for a consultation. The first person they're going to talk to is Dr. Jones.
Okay.
Because we do a personal assessment of the patient, and then we go from there.
So, how did you get in this business?
Well, my background is 30-some years in the medical field. I've been primarily medical devices, heart devices, pacemakers, defibrillators, and there was a need to take control of this business, and then when the topic under the physicians' conversations came up about this new novel therapy, we decided to write a protocol and implement it. And having lost a son myself, September 10th of 2015, to drug addiction, I'm very, very familiar with what families go through. And if I can prevent, or if the clinic can prevent a family from having to go through what I went through, then that's enough for me. That makes me extremely happy, and God put me in this position. I truly believe that.
What was your son's name?
Aristotle.
Okay. Was his situation similar to Greg?
They're all kind of similar, Kelly, but the reality of it is my son was a great athlete. He still holds a lot of records in the city of Indianapolis for playing football. But in the process of being injured, very similar to Greg, they're prescribed painkillers. And if you play football long enough, you're going to get injured. And of course, he was no exception. And once you get started on painkillers, you can be very quickly addicted. And that's what happened to him.
Okay. So, Dr. Jones, tell us then how people can, if they are interested in this type of therapy, what do they do and what's the process? I know you mentioned 10 days. Tell us a little bit about that. If somebody called today and wanted to find out more about this recovery process.
We're striving to create as comprehensive a program as possible. Each individual who contacts us will initially be evaluated by me to determine whether there is any primary underlying psychopathology in addition to the addiction. Once approved for the treatment regimen, they will undergo 10 days of the NAD infusion.
Okay.
And as the psychiatrist affiliated with Integrated Wellness, I will be monitoring their progress throughout the entire course and after the infusion is done. That has proven to be tremendously gratifying. I've seen truly dramatic results within 3 days.
Wow.
Literally.
Okay. Well, we're out of time, and I've got to go. But I did want to say that, does this apply for other things? What about weight loss, people's addictions? Because people are addicted to food.
Yeah.
Would it have the same impact?
Yeah. Absolutely. We're looking at doing a concussion protocol for NFL players, for other sports players, and other people that get brain trauma. And so, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, we're looking at all that. And yes, I think it really will help because we are transforming the brain, bringing it back to its normal state in terms of neurotransmitters and neuroreceptors speaking to one another again.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank all of you for coming on, Dr. Jones, Greg as well, and Joseph, thanks for joining us here on Inside Indy.
My pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll be back, and good luck to you too, Greg.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this. And we're back, and this segment of Inside Indy is for men only. Well, that's at least what Dr. Tuesday Tate says, and she's in the studio with us. Hi, Dr. Tate.
Hello,
It's good
Kelly.
to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Dr. Tate is the president and CEO of T. Tate Ministries International and Vision Focus Group Worldwide, which is what? Explain what you do.
Well, I am a certified coach and trainer and ministry ordained minister and elder. About 2011, as I was working on my thesis, just what do I talk about, and was counseling or advising so many people, married couples, men, women, and I found this common denominator with father struggles. What's my identity? The anger that I was seeing young boys and men dealing with seemed to come back to this father issue. And it wasn't just absent fathers. It was people who had fathers in their lives, but their fathers were not engaged. You may have known your father, but he wasn't involved in your life. Or he was in the home, but he wasn't engaged, which was my story with my siblings. My father was there. He was a provider, a protector, and a disciplinarian, but he wasn't engaged in our lives. So the worth and value of who we were coming up was not being enforced or reinforced by him. And so just what you lack in that, or what you lose in that. So that's why it's the father loss, LOSS forum. How did I come to it? Just from counseling and talking to people, and overwhelmingly how many to understand that 7 out of 10 men incarcerated do not know their father. So whether we're dating them or we're marrying them potentially, or they're friends, or it may be right in our home, so many people do not know their fathers or have relationships with their fathers, or again, they have a relationship, but there's no fellowship. And when I say that, I mean literally you're not spending time with them, getting to know them and them getting to know you. And that starts as a child, and then you grow up and you have all of these areas of your life that have suffered loss because you didn't have that engaged father.
So why, and I said this in the previous interview earlier in the show, I'm a nitty gritty kind of person.
Yes,
I'm very
yes.
analytical, so I'm going to get to the root cause of it. Why aren't these men more engaged? Whether they're, you know, the ones who are absent or the ones who are there and they're not quite there, and what's going on there?
You know, that might be more of a question for the person with the psychology degree. My doctorate is in theology.
Okay.
However, I do believe, you know, it's repetitive. These things are cyclical. It just continues to come around. I remember doing an interview with someone, and they said it was an epidemic. And I said, well, it couldn't be an epidemic because epidemics have an ending. This is something that we have been seeing for generations and generations and generations, and quite honestly, more in the African American community than we see in other communities. I believe that so many men want to be great fathers. They want to be good fathers, but they didn't see the example. And because it's generational, this father in 2015 didn't see it with his father didn't see it with his father. So we just continue to see this repetition of fathers who are providing, protecting, disciplining, but they're not engaged in their children's lives.
And you said your doctorate is in what?
Theology.
So now I'm going to throw it to
right.
that side
Okay.
of your education. From a spiritual perspective, looking at it from a biblical perspective, what's going on with a man when he's not embracing fatherhood or children or family, the idea of being married? Because I think that is one of the root causes in terms of the crime in our community. And I remember when, you know, Chief Height would have these public forums, and I always wanted to go and show up and say, my response to what they were saying in these meetings was that it has to do with the father. A lot of times it was, well, we want the kids to go to the after school program. No, daddy's not home. So looking at that from a spiritual perspective, what's going on there?
Well, the scripture says that our identity comes from our fathers. Literally, the Bible talks about in the Old Testament that how do I say this on television? Well, that your identity comes from the source of a man. A woman is a carrier of a child, but the identity comes from the father from the very moment that they consummate their relationship and that child is conceived. The identity, the hair color, everything, male, female, whatever they're going to be, comes from that father. So if a child is birthed, and when that child is birthed and he or she does not know their father, what is my identity? And as much as a mother will do great as a single mom to instill that identity into their child, to help that young man to be a young man, she can't. She can't. There's simple mechanics of being a man or a male that a woman cannot teach a boy.
Preaching today, you tell me.
And so, see, we trying. You didn't ask me to get into my lane. And so the word says that when I was a child, I did childish things. But as I became a man, a woman, I put away these childish things. So it's the process of having someone maybe to even mentor you. You know, Elisha had Elijah. You have people who can mentor you. You know, Peter, Paul brought Barnabas and Mark along with him. He mentored them. We may not think of that today, but you need mentors. And when you have grown up, because it does start at a child, we can throw all the after-school programs at them as we want, and I'm an advocate for that. However, we need men who are willing to be engaged in young boys' lives and help them come along. But then you have young boys who are not used to men being around, and when a man is trying to mentor them, come alongside of them, then that bravado rises up. Don't tell me what to do. You're not
Oh,
my
yeah, I've
daddy.
seen that.
And so we have all of this, but it's learning the mechanics of remember when you were 15 and how you responded. So there's so many dynamics, I think, to helping men help young boys come along, and then men coming alongside of men. This thing of men holding one another accountable. How you speak to your wife. How you treat your wife, your woman who you love. Man, you don't talk to her like that. That's not how you do it. But then starting with young boys. Children learn by watching. You know, I remember we came up, my dad used to say, do as I say, not as I do. That's a wrong teaching. Because children first learn by you showing them. That's why the math teacher gets on the board and shows them how to do the program, as well as audibly telling them. And so young boys need to see how a man treats a woman.
And men are visual, so that makes sense.
Men are visual and they're physical. Right. So you have to show them, you have to teach them.